yet. Still very, very cold, but yeah, 2.5 weeks. March 20th is springtime. Just a real quick update on Bob Wright. We've been praying for him. He had a stroke here maybe about 3 weeks ago. And he has now since moved out of ICU and out of OHSU. So he's in Providence now and doing quite well. His vitals are stable, but he's still having some difficulty with speech. So continued prayer in that regard. He's going through occupational therapy now for speech and swallowing. He's at Providence room 4K35. So if you guys would like to pay him a visit, I'm sure he would surely appreciate that in Betty Jane. So continued prayer there for sure. I wanted to announce, if you are a young adult and you've been coming to the church, we would love to get to know you. We're going to open up our home next Sunday in the afternoon. We want to have you guys over to the house for a luncheon. Okay, so after church, about, what is it, Audrey? 12:30. About 12:30, 1 o'clock. If you just want to head over, we're going to feed you. Okay, so if you're a young adult, 18 to maybe 30, or if you think you're a young adult, we'd love to host you next Sunday afternoon at our home, and we can get you an address for that. All right. We got tweets. Let's do this. We are in our fourth installment for the Roots series. We've been digging deep through the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis, and so today is installment number 4. We are looking at Genesis chapter 2. So if you have your Bible, book of the Bible, 2nd chapter, Genesis chapter 2, and we'll begin to start with verse 1. I want to talk to you out of this passage today about establishing healthy rhythms in your life. Betty Jane is here. Hi, Betty Jane. Let's give her a round of applause. We're praying for you guys. Continued prayer there for sure. Okay. We're going to be talking about establishing healthy rhythms. How many people here feel like they have no rhythm? You can't hit the Is that you? I grew up dancing. 80, and so well, not hip hop, but pop and lock, all that stuff, break dancing. So I grew up, loved to dance, pretty good at it. The thing is, I'm totally old school. They got the stuff out now that's out of my depth. The kiki and the nay and the wobble, all this stuff. The dab. The dab is pretty easy, but the floss, that's rough. That's rough. I can do the Running Man. I can do the robot. Oh, the Running Man? Something like that, I can do that. The robot, I can do the wave, right? But now it's high tech. So let me home trying to teach me how to do the floss. We got the floss. I'll show that is a high tech move. It's real popular right now. But talk about feeling rhythmically challenged. That's who I am. I can't do that. What in the world? How are you supposed to do that? So, I feel like you have no rhythm today. I'm with you. So today we're going to learn how to dance. You guys okay with this? That's actually the title of the message, Learning How to Dance. And the number one thing in learning how to dance is rhythm. You got to have rhythm. The song's got to have rhythm. You got to have rhythm. You got to be the pulse of the music and move your body to the beat, right? You got to you got to hear the rhythm. But sometimes songs have no rhythm, no discernible structure, and everything just kind of is noise, just kind of bleeds together. You got to have a good song with a good strong beat, good rhythm. And a song with good rhythm, you can hear the kick and the snare, the beat and the bar. You can hear the structure. It's discernible. And if a song has no rhythm, you have no chance of moving your body. If you have a good song, good rhythm, then you have a chance. Okay? So if you don't mind, I want to teach you this dance today. Okay? It's called the Shabbat. All right? The music is creation. And creation has this ancient rhythm to it. There's a real cadence. And the dance move is basically this. Okay? 6 steps. Stop. Can we manage that? Okay? 6 steps. And if you look at Genesis chapter 1, that's where we've been for the last 3 weeks, there is a real cadence to this chapter. And each day, if you look at this chapter, you hear this. And God said, and it was so, and God said, there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, and it was so, and God said, there was evening, and there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And God saw that it was good. There was evening, and there was morning, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day. There is to this whole thing. So the cadence is 6 days. And we get this. Chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. This is our passage for today, so let me go ahead and read this to you. We've heard the cadence in chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens were finished, and all the host of them, and on the seventh day finished work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the day and made it. God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. 6 steps and a stop. No noise, no voice, no speaking, no work. Do you see the rhythm? That's the basic gist of this dance move. 6 steps. Here's how it's technically. Let me just expand it out just a little bit for us, and I'll explain how this works. So the next slide shows you how it works. Stop, pause, and celebrate. Take 6 steps and do it again. Okay? You stop, you pause, you celebrate. Okay? Take 6 steps and do it again. Stop, pause, celebrate. Take 6 steps and do it again. Can we do that? 6 days of work, one day done. That's how we maintain our rhythm. Which is what we use, that's the Hebrew way of saying Sabbath. We're going to be talking about Sabbath rest today and how that restores order and rhythm to our lives. Because a lot of the time, we are out of sync. 6 steps and a stop, we don't know what stop looks like. It's all step, step, step. And we find ourselves and our lives and our bodies out of sync. Okay, so some of our calendars, if you look at them, our calendars have no structure. They're bursting at the seams. It's go, 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 stop, 7, work. We're always stopping, and some of the music we listen to has no rhythm. Non-stop work has no rhythm. fitting everything down, yes, has stress, has no rhythm. And not being able to turn off your brain has no rhythm. This music of 24/7 has no rhythm. So we're always working, we're always on the move, and we're stressed out. And it's affecting our health. Do you know they say 90%, up to about 90% now of all visits to the doctor are directly or indirectly related to stress. I was reading an article this last week called Stress, a Conflict Between Biology and Culture. And in this article, they were talking about the rising biology, which is our health, our physical health. It's slow. It takes time to recover. It's elemental. It's rhythmic. If you think of the body, very rhythmic. We got the respiration rate. We got a pulse. We got heart rate. It's just breathing and beating. I mean, we got a very rhythmic biology. This is who we are. Comes in conflict with the culture, which is fast, incessant, relentless, demanding. And the two things come in together, and culture can crush our physical biology. And our biology of what we can call cultural taskmasters. What might those be? Production. Deadlines. Achievement. Success. This is what our culture feeds us constantly, especially in the West, especially in America. And there are no days off, and this produces stress. I think a great picture of what life looks like under cultural taskmasters. So the are in Egypt, and God sends Moses to deliver people from bondage. And Moses shows up and says, let our people go. In Exodus chapter 5, verse 4, Pharaoh gives his response, and this is what he says. The king said, Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from work? Get back to your burdens. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens. In other words, you want them to stop working. He says, not a chance. Verse 9, he says, let heavier work, let heavier work be laid on men. Then again in verse 11, your work will not be reduced in the least. This is a taskmaster, a cultural taskmaster. 6 steps and a stop? Forget about it. There's no stopping in a culture like this. It's all step, step, step. It's relentless. The production, and this is an un-Sabbath culture. Egypt was an un-Sabbath culture. They knew nothing of rest. They knew nothing of stopping. And when it was brought up, the production even greater. That's the culture that we live in. We live in a very Egyptian-like culture where it's very demanding and the expectations are high. And you better keep up the production or you are not worth your salt. However, God treats us very differently. You know, the Egyptian gods, the Akkadian gods, they commanded work 7 times a day. Yahweh, he treats you different. He delivered and mandated them to stop, to pause, and to celebrate. It can be seen in Exodus 16, Exodus 15. God delivered them by a mighty hand, delivered them out of the Red. And God is establishing new rhythm. He mandates them to stop, pause, and celebrate. And it was actually encoded into the Ten Commandments. If you look at this is just amazing. Chapter 20, Exodus chapter 20, God commands them to do some pretty important things. Keep no gods before me. Make no carved images. Make no name greater than my own. And don't murder. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness. Don't covet. And nestled in between all of that, make sure you keep the Sabbath holy. This was a mandate. Take a day of rest. So today, a different drum. Our culture wants us to step, never stop. But today, we're going to learn a dance that includes an actual stop. So, I think this is totally countercultural. This topic right here, sometimes even marginalize this. We don't give it its fair shake, I believe. And it happens to be one of my favorite topics. There are a lot of good books on it. If you want some good, if I can give you some good recommendations, come find me. I've got some great books on the subject. But I think it's a word, especially to a Western culture who is enmeshed in this whole idea that your identity comes from what you do and how much you do and how well you do it. So we're not going to take. We're not Seventh-day Adventists. This is you have to do it on the seventh day. But I think a day during the week, I think is healthy to take as a day of rest. So we're not going to take it legalistically, but we're not going to spiritualize it away either. Okay? The Sabbath won't save your soul, but it will save your life. It will save your life. So again, the dance move looks like this. Stop, pause, celebrate. Take 6 steps and do it again. Stop, pause, and celebrate. And that's how you keep your rhythm. Okay, so stop. We're going to go this morning. The first point is stop. You've done it. Stop. Look at verse 1 and 2. It says, we're finished. And on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done. So chapter 1 was God's work week. It's a 6-day week. And on the seventh day, he stopped. Do you have a day? Because I think if we pattern our weeks after this week right here, we would know a lot more health because we have found our own physical and mental and rhythm of the soul. Very critical. Very critical. So God finished his work. But it seems like we're finished. God finished his work, but is our work ever finished? And I would say maybe not, but do you still have a stopping time? Do you still have a quitting time? You know, all it's not enough. I didn't work enough. I didn't do enough. Not enough. And then finally, do you have a day where you say, enough. It is what it is. And I'm going to offer it as an offering to God. Now, why would I want to do that? After the 6-day rush of things, I got good momentum. Man, I don't want to stop. That's the last thing I want to do. Man, I want to keep this thing going. And I think this really is stopping is a way of saying is not wrapped up in what I do. I will not be defined by what I do. I will not be defined by my work. I will give my work limits. over my life because I am larger and greater than you. I'm not defined by my work. I define my work. It's a way to distinguish. My identity is not found in what I do. It's found in who I am as a person, as a creature of God. Sometimes you got to just stop. It's enough. It is what it is. So stop. Cease. That's what the Sabbath means, is to cease. Have a Sabbath and stop the work. So you stop, pause. Okay, so you got it? So you're stepping, and then you stop and you pause. Okay? Verse 2. And all that he had done, and he rested. Okay, you got to lean back. Okay, so the stop. I'm teaching you a dance move today. I expect to see we're going to get all on our feet and do it to the end. Ready? So you got to stop and you got to pause. Okay, you got to feel it. You got to lean back into it. Isn't it nice to know that God is not a workaholic? And that you are created in the image of a resting God. Think about that. He never sleeps. He never slumbers. But he rests. He takes a day of rest. And I believe we are to copy our Creator. He didn't have to do that, but I think he did that as an example for us. So stop and pause, which just means rest. Now, if you guys, we have a golden doodle dog. And she loves, all she wants to do is play. She has a lot of energy. Okay? So we brought a new animal into the fold. We got a brand new cat. And Rosie wants to do nothing but play with the cat, which means that she wants to chase out of the house. So we got to say, Rosie, stop chasing her. And so she'll stop. She'll stop. But man, every muscle in her body is quivering with energy. Man, she's lazy to pounce after that cat at any given poised and ready. And so I feel like sometimes that's how we are. God says, stop. And man, it's hard to turn it off. I got adrenaline flowing. I've been working hard. I'm not about this rest. But he's, no. We say, Rosie, sit down. She'll slump over and, she'll obey. Sometimes that's what we need to do also. I think a stop is kind of like an outside thing. It's what we do on the outside. But sit down is kind of an inside thing. You got to rest. You got to lean into this. You got to lay back. You got to enjoy the moment. Take a breath, guard, and rest. Don't just stop with every body. No, wind the thing down. Grab yourself some rest. So in order to do that correctly, you got to stop and you got to pause. Take a day to pause and relax. So stop, pause, and here's the third step of the dance, and that's celebrate. 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 Look at verse 3. So God blessed and made it holy. God blessed and made it holy because on it God rested from all in creation. I love not with some prudish kind of uppity up kind of holier than thou thing. No, holy simply means different, distinct, special, set aside for a distinct use. I keep nice things like baseball cards in a special place. My wife keeps jewelry in a special place because it's holy. That's just what it is. And if you have been washed with the blood of Jesus, you are holy. And here's God who takes a day holy. So recognize that you're not going to treat every day the same. That's just what it means. Holy. Where we get the word holiday, right? And as you know, what do we do on holidays? We celebrate. Stop, pause, and keep it holy. You know, the commandment is, God made the day holy. Keep it holy. He made it different. The mandate is to keep it different. Keep a day that's different. Honor it. Celebrate it. Stop, pause, and celebrate. So, here are some ideas for you to make a day different, to make it holy, to enter into the holiday of the moment. So, I'd say things to exclude. Things to exclude, things to include. Things to exclude would be typical work. Try to take a day where you just take the typical grind and you set it aside. Maybe buying, selling. We're such a consumeristic society, so maybe take that for another day. Perhaps social media. If you're already overstimulated, that could be an idea as well. Worry. So making budgets, making major decisions, finances, compiling. These are things you don't do at celebrations. You don't go to a celebration and do your budget at a celebration. No. So take it down and relax. Now we're not going to be, we shouldn't be like rigid or legalistic with this. That would be killing the spirit of the day. The Sabbath is, St. Peterson calls a day on. Nothing is necessary. Nothing is forced. Right? It's a day to be unforced. But I do think in order to keep a day of rest, we do need to be intentional. Unforced, but intentional. So, things you could include is just doing things you enjoy. Cooking some of your favorite foods. Reading good books, enjoying music, taking a nap, taking a bath if that's your thing. Moving slow, being available, taking walks together. It's just a day to pray and play, a day of rest, a day of worship. Doesn't that sound delicious? Man, why don't we do it? I think it boils down to this. In order to take a day and set it aside, we're like, time is money. Time is valuable. I can't waste any time. I can't take a day and waste like that. But I think it boils down to trust. Are you willing to trust God with less? I think this has tithing. It's a notion that time doesn't belong to me. My time doesn't belong to me. And so when I tithe, I'm saying, hey, Lord, I'm going to take 10% of my income and I'm going to honor you and believe that you can do less with 90% than I can do with 100. It's a trust issue. Sabbath, I think, is similar because you're saying, hey, I'm going to take 6 days. I'm going to trust you, Lord, that you can do more with 6 days than I can do with 7. And it's also proclamation that I'm not the Lord. So I'm going to say, God, hey, you can do more with less. Because, man, I feel like I can't. Sometimes we do less with more. That's what life looks like. When we claim all of the money, claim all of the time, we actually produce less. So I believe it's a trust issue. God can do more with 6 days than I can do with 7. And I'm going to rest in that reality. I am not God. It doesn't all depend on me, so I'm going to rest. I'm going to stop. And this is actually where the dance begins. Stop, pause, and celebrate. Then you take 6 steps and you do it again. Okay, so if you want to do this dance right, if you want to do the Shabbat right, you got to stop first. Stop, pause, and celebrate. Adam and Eve, if you think about this, their first full day was a Sabbath. They were created on the 6th day, right? So on the 7th day, God rested. It's interesting that God would usher them into existence with a Sabbath, with a day of celebration. And you would think that God would make the day of a Sabbath. But no, God ushers them in and gives them a Sabbath so that they can enter into God's work. See, He done fire. He done all the work. When you take a Sabbath, it's your opportunity to enter into God's rest. He has preceded you. And it reminds us that we can enter into His work and rest. And then out of His rest, we can rise and join Him in the work. This is where the dance begins. Stop, pause, celebrate in your life. Take it, rise, take it into your day of work, into your week of work. That's the rest of God. Think about evening and morning. There's evening and there was morning the first day. There's evening and there's morning the second day. Evening comes first. The first part of the Hebrew day. And what happens in the evening? We take a rest. That's where we go and sleep and rest. And then we rise from the evening and we enter into the morning of a new day. Grace always precedes work. Take your rest, and from that rest, you go into that day of work. And then work, we really see the gospel of Jesus Christ. Sometimes we want to earn, and we want to prove, and we want to show, and we want to acquire. God says, no, you don't get to do any of that. I do that work. I finish the work, and you enter into my work. So work doesn't. Grace precedes work. Ephesians chapter 2 says, we are His workmanship. We are His workmanship. Created in Christ Jesus. We had nothing to do with that. For good works. So He has created you. He has done the work. God precedes your work. And so that's just how it works. Grace comes first. So you might be here today and you're tired. You're weary. You've been stepping and you haven't been doing any stopping. You've been doing that physically. You've been doing that mentally. You've been even doing that in your own relationship with God. You think you need to prove and you need to earn and you need to acquire. You might be tired this morning. You might be spent. But you need to hear the words of Jesus in Matthew 11. It basically says this. Jesus says, if you're tired, come to me. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Hebrews 4 says that Jesus, in a spiritual sense, is our Sabbath rest. Come to me. I want to give you the rest that I have. I have preceded your work. I have gone before. I've created you. I've made you my workmanship, all by grace. Enter into that finished work, and then see what might I have you do. Sometimes I think we think life is all sink or swim. It's all up to us. And we spend our life just treading water. And sometimes I think what God wants us to do is just realize that we have a life vest. And what we need to do is just lean back on the life vest. And you know who that life vest is? Jesus. You don't have to spend your whole day and your whole life treading water. No, he wants you to enter into that rest that he has. You don't have to work your way to the Father. Jesus has already done that for you. And all you need to do is enter into that work and rest in Jesus. So stop, pause, and celebrate Jesus. He is our Sabbath rest. So I'm going to have Christina come back up. We're going to do this last song. This is a stiff shot in the arm. It's a reminder that we're not God. It doesn't depend on us. Not wholly. He precedes us. He does the work, and we can enter into his rest. Stop, pause, celebrate the work of Jesus Christ, take 6 steps, and do it all again. So Jesus, thank you for the reminder that you have done the work. You go before us. You make us who we are. We're not self-made people. We are God-made people. You have given us grace, and we can enter into that grace and truly rest. Take a breath. Hey, I know that God can do more with less. I trust him. It's not all dependent upon me. I am not God. So help us rest. Help us relax. Help us know that you have got it all under control. And I don't have to wear the world on my shoulders. I can be finite. I can be human. And I know that God has me covered. Help us to trust you, Lord. Help us to trust you with our time, our resources, our energy. You are good for it, Lord God. And thanks for taking good care of us. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, so with that last word, I want us to stand and enter into this last song and remind ourselves, he's God. I'm not, and I'm going to enter into the finished work of Jesus Christ. Would you rise now? I sing this last song.